Hey everybody, it's me, Bryson Booker, and guess what? I just got back from vacation. So, what does that mean? I haven't been making a video because I was not here. And I'm sorry, this time I didn't really bring my camera because I really didn't do anything that spectacular. I was going to a conference. I really didn't, go on any big, ginormous adventure. So I really didn't bring my camera. I went to a museum, but that was about it. And that museum was just meh. But what I did bring back for you that I got from Indiana and that I want to show you are some comics. And not just any comics, comics based on a TV series. And comics based on one of my favorite TV series. So far, this is the only merchandise that I have from this series. I have to look to see if I can find more merchandise from it. But this was at least one of the things sold for the show in promotion of the show, and even continued after the show ended. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Dark Horse Comics, Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic series. This comic series originally started in 1998, September of 98, and the original Buffy comics, considered the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Classics comic collection now. But the original Dark Horse comics for Buffy the Vampire Slayer did air, or were released while the show aired, from 1998 up until 2004. After the series ended, Dark Horse was like, maybe we should keep this going. And they got the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon, on board to create different collections of comics for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer franchise. And so that's where Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 8, 9, and 10 come from. And I think they're now working on season 12 of the comics. And I believe season 12 is rumored to be the last edition of these comics. But these were the first comics released while the show was still on the air on the WB. And so I have a couple of them here. I got these from a comic store that was literally across my hotel. Literally across the street of my hotel. And the comic store was called Downtown Comics. So shout out to Downtown Comics in Indianapolis. For these comics, but obviously they're literally mint condition comics in a package, and then you have a piece of cardboard that just basically holds the comic up and keeps it from wrinkles and damages. But these are mint. These are not hand-me-down comics. They're original comics right in the slipcovers. And so I'll let you see one of them. But I actually got 4 of them. Let me show you all of them first. So this is issue number 11. I wanted to try to see if I could find the first couple of issues, but obviously with comics, it's so hard to find the first and second and third issues of that comic, because it's, every single collector wants those first couple of issues, and Buffy is pretty much the same thing. But I did find a couple of early ones, at least number 11. So this is issue number 11. So I'll take this out for you in a second. Issue number 12, which is basically issue 11 and issue 12 are kind of basically one whole story. So this is part 1 of the story, and then this is part 2 of the story. This, I believe, was released in July 1998. This was released August 25th, 1990. July 1999, August 25th, 1999. So these were 11 and 12, and then this is like a later, not very later one, but kind of a later one. This is issue 21, and then this is the 50th issue. And I mean, I just had to pick this up. This one was released in 2002. I had to pick this one up because, hey, it was really the only, I guess you could say, landmark issue of the comic series that I could find. So this is the 50th issue, released in 2002. So I'll let you see one of them, and I might need to charge my battery, so let me come back. So here is one of the comics out of the slip case right there. This is literally mint, guys. This is like the second time I'm touching this, because I read it the first time, and so this is literally the second time I'm touching it to take it out to show it to you. But no rips, no tears. This is literally mint. And how you know that the comic itself is dated is when you see an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 right on the back of it. And there's also some other interesting content in the comic besides the comic itself. You get some basically mail-in, call-in orders of Buffy merchandise. So I think that's on one of these pages. Let me see if I can show you here without messing up the book in the progress. So, here we go. So this was, you know, I was wondering, like, when this show came out, I know there was a bunch of merchandise released for it. You know, Hot Topic and, you know, Sears and things, stores like that were probably full of this stuff. But now their shelves are completely empty of it. But at one time, you could call in, and a lot of comics had this, not just these Buffy comics, but billions of comics had these, where you can call in and get merchandise. You just give them their credit card information, or you mail something to the company, and they would send you back either a Buffy t-shirt or an accessory, cups, hats, posters, things like that. So I just found that interesting, that there was a whole bunch of merchandise released really at the height of the show's popularity. And then you get these other promos for things that weren't as good, or now no one cares about, like this movie called Mystery Men. That was released by not Warner Brothers, but Universal Pictures in 1999, the summer of 99. But, you know, besides the comic itself, you do get those cool little additions, like, you know, some vintage advertisements, vintage posters, vintage merchandise ads, and that's, you know, fun to look at if you're interested in it, like myself, being a 90 nostalgics guy and all. I love it. So, again, mint condition comics. I'm not going to go through every one, but so far, the first one has a pretty engaging story, and another reason why I like this comic, and then I'll stop, is the art style. I appreciate the art style of this comic. It doesn't seem bright, it doesn't seem annoying, but it seems kind of eerie, dark, and playful, slightly playful, just like the series was. So there's some scenes there from the comic itself. You know, great drawings. I love it. It tries to be anime-ish, but it's not anime. That's just, if that's understandable by you guys. It's not an anime. But there's some depth to the drawings, you know. It doesn't look like something like Garfield or Charlie Brown. There's actually some effort put in to the drawings and shades and colors, and that's another thing I like about, you know, comics nowadays, is the art style and the depth of the art style. And so they did just, here's the gang all together. Oz, Willow, Xander's right there, Buffy, and I can't remember, I think that's Cordelia to the far left on my screen. But there they are all together. Great art style. The bubbles are slightly small, but you can read what's being said. And yeah, background colors, everything's great. And obviously the story is purely Buffy. One thing that I appreciate about these comics that I was reading earlier is that before they even released these comics, they ran it by Fox, and they ran it by Joss Whedon, and they ran it by the writers of Buffy the Vampire Slayer before it was even released. So yes, if you're wondering, these early comics do represent the series very well. Most of these, the ones that I have, at least the first three, take place during the third season of the Slayer. This one, I believe, comes in 2002, so this is, I think, season 6 or 7, either one. Probably season 6, I think. But they took pride in making these comics, and they didn't just release them just because the show was popular and they needed merchandise. No, it went through Joss Whedon, it went through his studio, it went through the writers. The writers contributed on these comics, and they were approved by Fox as official Buffy merchandise. So, guys, this is the real deal. No tricks, no gimmicks, no stupid stories. You know, they're stories that actually match what the show was going for. So I enjoy them. So this is what I picked up, some 90s items, vintage Buffy comics. And surprisingly, they still make the comics, but the series is sadly ending soon. So hopefully, maybe I'll pick up a late issue, the latest issue, and enjoy it as well. Check it out for yourself.